Computer Information Systems, welcome back. It's Friday, Friday before spring break. So y'all are going to be able to have a break from class. You don't have to go to school next week. You don't have to see your teachers next week. Yeah, right. Actually, all those things kind of sound nice at this point, don't they? At any rate, we are going to be next week respecting spring break, which means you're not going to have any new assignments. That said, I'm not going anywhere. I will be around, and therefore I will be available. If you guys have questions, you can feel free to email me. If you are getting caught up on the work because you started late, you can join us, and you can use that time to get caught up if you have troubles. I'm also planning on probably doing open office hours once or twice next week. I will post it in advance so that you guys can anticipate and plan for it if that's something that you want to use. All right, so we are going to move forward with the assignment, working in Microsoft Office. And we're going to start this from a brand new Excel spreadsheet. So starting from Office 365, click on Excel. We're going to create a new blank workbook. And we are going to name this new workbook up where it says, your book number. You're going to click on this, and we're going to call this Excel Activity 8. All right. All right, so we've got Excel Activity 8. And to begin with, I want you to come up with 5 names, okay? I'm going to use family names for me. And I'm going to start this in A2. So I'm just going to do my name, Andrew Cifaldi, in A2. I'm going to tap Enter. I'm going to do my wife's name, Jessica Lynham. I'm going to put my son down. So we've got Xander Gabriel. And we've got Rami Michael. We're just going to pretend that Gabriel and Michael are their last names, although that's not actually. I am going to go ahead and put another name. We'll put down my father's name, Gary Cifaldi. Okay. I want you to come up with 5 names. Just like this, go ahead and type those in. They can be fictitious names. They can be family names, friends. All right. And we're going to put these people on bankroll, so maybe you can have some fun with that. All right. So after I have my 5 names in here, I'm going to realize that I want these names separated by first and last. Okay. Now, this is an intentional problem, okay, because I can't tell you in my line of work as a teacher, I'm always getting lists of students. And for a lot of reasons, I often need the first and the last name separated. Okay, but I don't get them that way. I often get them either separated by a space bar or separated by a comma, but not separated into separate columns. So we're going to use this opportunity to understand a specific tool that we have available. All right, so in order to do this, I'm now going to click in cell B2, which is kind of covered up by my name, but that doesn't matter. I'm going to type just my first name, Andrew. Then I'm going to press the Tab key to move over to column C, and I'm going to type Cifaldi. What I've just done is I've provided Microsoft Excel with an example of how I wanted to split these names up. I want Andrew Cifaldi in cell A2 to become Andrew in cell B2 and Cifaldi in C2. And here's what Excel is going to do for that. I'm going to click in B2 and go to the Data tab, and I'm going to click on this button called Flash Fill. When I click on that, you see it's automatically going to fill in those first names for me. I'm going to do the same, click in C2, and click Flash Fill again, and boom, it knows to automatically fill in those last names for me. You can imagine, I mean, in this example, we only have 5 names, so it's not super worth it to go through that process. But if you can imagine, you know, when we're working in the school system and we've got a list of like 30 to, you know, maybe 500 students, and all of them are, you know, listed in a single cell, and maybe I want to alphabetize them, you know, by their last name. Well, if I wanted to alphabetize them by their last name, I would first have to break them up into separate columns. And I would not want to do that for 500 different students. So that flash fill tool becomes a very, very useful tool the longer your list gets. And it can actually be used in a much more advanced way from that. This is just kind of the simplest version to like take a column and break it up into different columns. All right. Now that we've got these names broken up into B and C, I'm actually going to get rid of column A. We're going to right click on the A, and I'm going to delete the column. Okay, and from there we're going to go ahead and we're going to create our payroll spreadsheet. Okay, I'm going to click in C1. In C1, I'm going to put down work hours, tab, rate of pay, tab, gross pay, tab, taxes, tab, net pay. All right, so here I have my spreadsheet. At this point, you should probably do a couple of things to like make sure that your column widths are wide enough to display all of your text. We've showed you how to do this in previous assignments, so I'm not going to go through that too much. Okay. All right. Assuming you have this all visible, we are now going to put in some work hours. Okay. So this is an example set of work hours between, you know, for a 1 week period of time. On average, as you know, a part-time worker might work between like 15 to 25 hours. A full-time worker, 40 hours is officially considered full-time. Some professionals can work even up to maybe 50 hours per week. So I want you to just go ahead and put in different amount of hours here for your different people. So let's put all of these numbers somewhere between 15 and 50 hours. And I do want at least 2 of your people to have over 40 hours of work. Okay, so for example, I myself feel like I work really hard. I'm going to put in 45 work hours. My wife works very hard, so I'm going to give her a full 50 hours of work. Xander complains a lot, but you know, he works some, so we're going to give him 20 hours. Remy, we're going to give him, you know, 25 hours. And my dad, Gary, we're going to have him work, you know, 35 hours. Okay? All right. All right, if you notice my video cutting a lot, it's because I'm having to blow my nose a lot today, which is weird, but anyways, I'm moving forward. We're also going to give each of these workers a rate of pay, okay? So we've got, I think our base rate here in Virginia is $7.25, so nobody could, you know, be paid less than $7.25. You could go up to, you know, say a rate of pay of, you know, $25 an hour. This is your per hour rate of pay. So yeah, let's pick some numbers between $7.25 and $25. Okay. So I'm going to give myself, you know, a $15 paycheck, $15 an hour. I'm going to give my wife $23 an hour. Xander, I'm going to give $7.25. Remy, I'm going to give $7.25. And my dad, I'm going to give him $15 an hour. Okay? You are making up these numbers. based on what I'm, the range that I'm giving you, but you can make them up however you see fit. If you want to apply some humor, that's fine. All right, so these areas right here, these are raw numbers, okay? Meaning all we did is we just typed in the number. From this point forward, we're going to enter numbers, but they're going to be calculated numbers. And we're going to use formulas to calculate those numbers, okay? So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to find our gross pay. Our gross pay, anytime I want to do a formula in Excel, I need to make sure that I always, always, always begin with an equal sign, okay? That tells Excel, I want you to do something for me, okay? Now, there's a couple ways we can do this. My gross pay is my work hours multiplied by my rate of pay. So I can, after I typed my equal sign, I can click on C2, and you see that it automatically fills it in for me. My multiplication symbol is above the 8, so I'm going to do Shift 8 to create that little star symbol. And then I can click on D2, and it'll automatically fill that in. I can tap Enter, and I get my gross pay. I'm going to show you the alternate way to do this, which is simply to type out using the cell references. So we've got C2 times D2, and here I'm just simply typing with my keyboard, and it's giving me the same result here. Enter. Notice that when I single click on this area, I can see the calculated number here, but up in my formula bar, I can see the formula that I typed in. All right, and that formula doesn't use numbers like 45 or 15. It uses what are known as cell references. What is in C2? What is in D2? This is extremely useful in Excel worksheet because let's say later I realized that there was an error and I actually wasn't making $15 an hour. I was making $18 an hour. As soon as I make that change and tap Enter, watch my gross pay. It immediately changes. Okay, so because it's using a cell reference, it automatically changes when the numbers in those cells change. Okay? All right, the next thing that we're going to do here is we're going to look at, so we want to calculate the gross pay for all of my workers, and I don't want to keep retyping and refilling in that formula. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to use my fill handle. I hover over this little green box in the bottom right hand corner. I make sure that I have a thin plus sign, a thin cross, and I'm going to click and drag down. Voila, I have my gross pay for all of my workers. Okay? All right. The next thing that we've got to do is we've got to calculate our taxes. So you guys know that when you work a job, you work a number of hours, you get paid a certain rate, and that becomes your gross pay, but you don't actually get to take all that money home. Why? Taxes. Okay? So we've got to calculate those taxes. I have a list of taxes that we're going to put in here. So we're going to put this in B9. We're going to type the word deductions. In C8, we're going to type SS for Social Security. Fed in D8 for our federal taxes. State for our state taxes. VRS for our Virginia retirement system. And our total for our total taxes deducted from pay. I'm going to scooch this column out a little bit. I'm going to pause here because I'm running out of time, and we're going to go on to a second video to finish this up. All right.